Hello and welcome everyone. I am Rashi Goel and I have with me today Ms. Beena Belani. Ms. Beena has over 17 years of industry experience. She is the General Manager HR at SLK Software and has previously worked with organizations like Wipro and Vedanta Limited. She holds a postgraduate diploma in HR from Goa Institute of Management, and her expertise lies in the field of strategic HR, change management, and management. Welcome, Beena, to our interview series.
Thank you, Rashi. Thank you, the Unicorn team, and thank you, audience, for having me over. It's absolutely a pleasure. Yes.
Thank you so much. So our series is all about understanding about your journey, and if you can tell us in a nutshell, how has your journey been in till date, and what all have you done so far?
Okay, this feels like an interview question, but we will take it. Yes. So I was born and brought up in this beautiful place called Goa. Yes. Completed my education there, passed out my management from the Goa Institute of Management, took up a job with Vedanta Limited, which was then the Cesar Goa Iron Ore business, and worked with them for about 10 years across all domains in HR. Moved to Bangalore, joined Wipro, worked with them for about 3 years, and now I'm at SLK Software since the last 1.5 years, again in Bangalore. On the personal front, there are many things that I like doing, a little bit of everything. So, cooking, gardening has taken a big important place in my life right now, and I'm really enjoying seeing the greens around me. Learned a little bit of Reiki as well, cushion making, a little bit of poetry and photography. So generally trying out my skills at a lot of other things other than work.
That's great. That's great. So your expertise in the field of talent management, and the world is currently totally evolving. So what would you say is an evolved definition of talent management?
Yes, it will be evolved because it has changed in my own head over the past so many years. So what we used to call talent management in the manufacturing and mining sector a while ago was this, where it was a stock take and checking how to really de-risk the organization in terms of proper talent availability and checking if we really have the right resources and skills to take it to the next level in the future. So we used to really look at the organization, check the roles defined, which would enable us to go to the next level because we're always growth oriented and very futuristic in our mindset. We check if we have people who are occupying the positions and if they have the appropriate ammunition in terms of the skills, the attitude, the behaviors, or any competency. Basically, any information that they need to perform at the next level. And then, of course, the developmental initiatives for the individuals to occupy that role and the next would follow. Also, once we have the critical or key roles defined, we would really check if we have proper successors for those positions, and if how soon they would be ready for the next level, and what are those interventions that would really help them, get future ready. And so on. So there were a different set of exercises done to really check if the talent map was in place for the organization. This is also called a talent review sometimes in the IT and services sector and in different kinds of industries, of course. So different companies and sectors have different ways of looking at it. The term talent management, however, in the IT and services sector in most of the large organizations these days refers to something else. It refers more to the workforce management concept within HR. And this is where they're really checking if, according to the projects that the organization has or is going to have, do we have sufficient number of people and do they have the required skills? And if there is, a future requirement, then are we equipped to handle it or not? So also the concept of bench in the IT and services sector, where you really have an extra set of people who are waiting to be deployed at newer projects. So the definition of talent management has not only evolved, it is also different according to the industry. And I think that is important for the audience to know. Otherwise, somebody like me who suddenly walks into IT will, since talent management was, something really bigger that, I was looking at, but now it is only workforce management. So yeah, but apparently this is called talent management also in many companies. So yes, it is different and it is evolving. And of course, there's a lot of scope to do a lot more in this area.
Okay, sure. You've also talked about how the definitions have changed when you've grown from one industry to the other, or you moved, you've learned within these years of experience. Till date, what has been your most challenging work assignment?
Oh, well, I think the best is yet to come because, we think that we've achieved so much and acquired so much of information and have, done a lot of work or projects or whatever, and we've seen the worst of times and, gotten through them. But you always look at numbers and you can see that people have done a lot more than you. There are organizations that have reached levels that are far higher than yours, and there's a lot more to do and see. So most challenging, yes, but challenging for me from that point of view at where I was, yes, there were a couple of projects and a couple of interactions that have been challenging, but you just get through them because there is no other way to learn. I mean, you can do all the courses that you want and you can read up all that you want, and that basically comes in as information. But the most useful part of the information is that which comes to you through your own experience. So yes, there was a project implementation that had to happen, and it was in the HR IT sphere, and it was for implementing SAP for a very large organization. And I was the customer side project manager with no understanding of what was S in SAP or what was I in HRIT. So, but yes, I think there were three phases of this project, and it was a group-wide implementation at the end, and which I was leading. I think the learning that emerged out of that, and the struggles that you go through, and the learning that you compulsorily have to do, because without that you can't really implement anything without understanding it. You can choose to remain like the lotus leaf and not get into the muck, but that'll be an utter disaster. So don't attempt. That is my sincere advice to anybody who's trying on something new. The only way to get something done and correctly at the first time is to really dirty your hands in it. Try and understand as much as you can. Speak to people as much as you can. Leave your ego at the door when you walk in, because you're going to ask people for a lot of information and how to do things. And it's okay to appear as a student because that is not your original domain. So you have to ask, and there's no shame in that. So I think that was one really big learning. It was like a life learning for me. Also, these times when suddenly you're asked to head another function with no information in it. For example, like a corporate communications that we had to suddenly take up because there was no one heading it, and because the industry had to interact with different sections of society. So I think these different kinds of items that come and that force you to work with change management. Not only that, force you to become the change agent and force you to take a message forward to the entire organization, be it the management or the workmen or the general employees or your own peers. I think the learning that emerges from these kind of things, there is nothing to match this. And this only happens when you're open, open to work, open to projects, and say that yes. So I never really ask things, they, land up on my lap and I say, okay. So just that very openness to deal with something new that's coming your way. And, it doesn't really matter if you don't know, you're mentally ready, and that's half the battle won, because that whatever comes, you can achieve it, or there is a way to get things done, which may not be the easiest at all times, but obviously there is a way to do it. So I think this kind of openness really helps.
Great. Actually, that was my next question to you, as to what are the traits that have helped you so far in your career. So I'll twist that around a little. I've heard great things about you from all the people who have reported into you, me being one of them. So if you can tell us what makes you one of the most liked managers that I have met.
Thank you very much for labeling me that. I didn't know. I didn't know that was a quality I had, but thank you so much. I do get some amount of appreciation in terms of people wanting to join my team. So they will not come up directly and say, I love working with you and hence I want to come. But the very fact that somebody approaches you and says, within the organization also, can I leave that and can I come to you? And then you have to go through a whole round of questions to say that, it's not enough that you like me, but, this is the work and how do you see yourself fitting in? That has to be done. I don't know what makes me the most liked manager. I generally work around 2-3 very basic items every day, and sometimes you have to work a little harder because not all days are the same. I'm a little sensitive to energy, so I'm also a little sensitive to what I give out as energy, and that is why I like to really clarify it before stepping into work. So if you need to exercise a bit, or if you need to meditate a bit, and then come to work and deal with people, it's a lot more different, and you're always conscious of how you're not only the words that you're using, because people lay so much stress on communication, but and then people started saying, okay, it's not the words, it's the body language also. But that's not all. It's also the vibration that you're giving out. It's also the energy that you're giving out. It's also the intention for the other people that you have. So as long as you're able to keep these light and clear and positive, I think people are able to approach you a little more easily than the others. Besides that, I just do my own job, so I don't know if that is secretly inspiring anybody or not. But some very basic things that I purposefully look after while I'm doing my work are really persistence, not giving up on items so easily. So there are people who are very difficult communicators and who will not really listen to anything. And you being HR, you got to really front face all of these items because you have to speak from the viewpoint of the organization and you have to speak from the viewpoint of the employee. So employee advocacy and organizational strategy, you got to maintain that very, very delicate balance all the time. And in these interactions, it's not always easy to push your point across. People may be very nice or naive or accepting, but your points may not get across so well. So what is it that you do on these occasions? So constant nudging, really not giving up, continuing to remain polite, logical. And it's always a give and take sometimes. Maybe somebody else has a better point than yours. Then how do you give up your original idea and, get onto the other person's point of view? That is also very important. I also try and keep my ego out the door before I enter work because it doesn't help anybody, So if somebody is really operating from that viewpoint, you know how difficult conversations get with you. So why should you be the person who's making somebody's, work life very difficult? Also, some amount of understanding and patience, especially while dealing with juniors, because sometimes you say, this is such a common sense thing. Why did you not think of it? And then you have to come back and, say that your empathy key goes up and you say, okay, maybe they've not thought of it. It's a simple thing like, maybe my boss has wonderful ideas or questions and I don't think of them all the time. So why am I expecting somebody else to do that, Also trying something new all the time, because I think life can get a little boring or monotonous sometimes. And if you're the person who loves routine and monotony, very good for you because you have it. But if you're not, then you got to constantly try new things. So the equivalent of gardening and cooking would be, learning a new skill at work, or learning a new language, or maybe going in depth on body language, or talking about mental stamina, or generally, basically trying out something new within the sphere of your work that you're doing, so that even the initiatives that you take are a little refreshing and people see them as something different, and you also have the flavor of doing something new. Yeah, these are the few things I do.
That's a lot actually, and like you said, a lot of people don't use those basic common sense items that we feel, and you might be just naturally doing it, but that should be helpful to a lot of people managers out there to know that there are very little things that they need to take care to become the most like manager in their own organizations and spaces. Great. So I think that's all for today. Thank you, Beena. Thank you for giving us this time and thank you for joining us. But before we let you go, any small message that you have for all our viewers out here?
Yeah, so whether you're a junior, senior, or within HR or outside HR, there are 2-3 aspects that can really help, propel your career a little higher and really help you make sense of your own work life. And these are some things that I do. So I'm a big fan of decluttering, and I don't get the chance to do it that often, but whenever I do a good job. So if it's your physical space or it's the thoughts that you have, because your mind is so important, you're bringing that to work every day because you're mostly brain working, or the space around you, your own desk, or even your computer, or your inbox. It helps a lot. It helps you maintain your sanity and balance. And if you see something clearly, you're able to start new initiatives with a lot more ease and without any baggage. Another thing is, work on your mental stamina, because things are not going to be easy all the time. You can keep working on yourself and, things, and you imagine that things will get easier, but they don't. You'll always have a new challenge. You'll always have a new person coming in, questioning you. You'll always have a new thought or something that's not really going your way. But, building up your own mental stamina is going to be very, very important if you have to be a good professional, because that's how you're going to carry yourself with a lot more ease and, happiness. Also, it's very helpful to find yourself a coach. So it may be on a particular topic or a particular issue. It may be somebody within the organization or outside, without any baggage or without really the fear of asking somebody for some help. Get yourself some good coach on topics that you may be struggling with, because sometimes you're not really able to dust off the layers of your mind on your own, and you need external help. And this is where coaches can come in handy. So I think, yeah, these are very basic things that can help anyone again.
No, that's great and very implementable points. I think we can do that in our daily practice and should go a long way for all of us. So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be back soon with more guests and more insights. But before you go, do like, comment, and share this video. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much. Thank you, Veena, for joining us.
Thank you, Rashi. Thank you, Unicorn. Bye-bye. Bye.